Hello and welcome to my third episode on learning how to code in Python. In this video, we'll be understanding how to use inputs, if and else statements, functions, and parameters. So sit back, grab your favorite drink, and let's get started. The first thing we have to talk about is input, and what is an input. Essentially, an input is a way to interact with the user. So let's say you write out, print name John, or you can say, and then you can run the code. We say name is John, but that's not true for everyone. It's only true for the people named John. So what if I want to say, I don't want to get their name wrong. So what if we just ask the user, what is your name? And they type in their name. So you can write name, and then I put these two colons behind it, which means this is where you insert your name. Now, if you run the code, you can see here's the code, and here you can write what your name is. So let's say your name is Philip. You write Philip. Now you can print on note. You can say, let's print out the name that we just collected. Nice. What is your name? My name is Philip. Your name is Philip. Perfect. Okay, so what if we also want their age? We can do the same thing. We can say age must equal input. What is your age? And we can do the same thing. And then we can print it out to an F string. Your name is, we can do name, and your age is, and we can do the age. So now if we print it out, it should give us, my name is, it's David. My name is David, and I'm 14. And it says your name is David, and your age is 14. Alright, that's good. But what if someone puts their name as David, but then decides, my age is hello. See? Doesn't make sense. Then it still works. It still says your name is David and your age is hello. So we gotta change that, because all we want is an input, because you can't be hello years old. So if we go up to age, there's two different things we can use. We can either use the int function, or we can use the float function. These two are very essential functions. So an int function, int stands short for integer. It's every single integer that exists, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and so on. So every whole number. A float is every number in between. 1.2, so you can't do 1.2, but like here, but 1.2, or it's 1.3, or like 1.4. So it's all the point numbers. In this case, you can't be 35.2 years old. So we're looking for an integer. So if you go up to an age and you say, we only want the integer value. We do not want anything else. So now if we go through, we can say, my name is David, I'm 14. That works, because 14 is an integer. But if I then say, my name is David, and I am hello years old, I get an error, because it's invalid. It has to be an integer, and hello is not an integer. Now this works a little bit different if you want to do strings. So at the beginning you can put str as a string function. And now the reason why this works differently is because instead of seeing 14 as an integer, it then starts seeing 14 as a string. So the number, not the number 14, but just 14 inside a string. So I would generally not recommend using the string function, because here I could write, what's your name? My name is 14, and I'm I'm 14 years old. That would still work even though I asked it to only input a string, because then it's not an integer, then it becomes a string function. And that is basically it for input values. Alright, so now that we've talked about inputs, we're now going to talk about if and else statements, and we're going to use that input if and else statements. So the first thing I want to do is look at, let's say we want to make a club, So we can print out a message to everyone saying, welcome to Club Penguin. And let's say we want to put an age gap. And this is where you can use if and else statements. So let's say, we don't want anyone below 18. So we can say here in Club Penguin, you must be older than 18. But we don't want anyone who's too old. So let's say, but no more than 50. Alright, so with the current code we have now, this wouldn't work. Because I can say my name is Philip, and I am 12 years old, and then it would just state out my name. So we want to put these into the code. So first, name, we don't really care what their name is, that's fine. And then we put age, So we want to put an age gap. So we can say, if age, so this is how you use an if statement. If age is equal to, so you put two equal signs, means that age is equal to whatever. So if age is equal to 18, so then this function would only put out something out if it's exactly equal to. But we want to say, okay, well, if age is bigger than, or if age is less than 18, so if age is less than or equal to 18, let's just put less than 18. If age is less than 18, so 18 is bigger than age, then print, you're not allowed to be here. To be here, sorry, too young. So now, if we run the code, here, we can put in, okay, so first it prints out the message we had in the beginning. Hello, welcome to Club Penguin. Here in Club Penguin, you must be older than 18 and no more than 50. So my name is, let's just put that, and say, what is your age? Let's say if I'm 12. Well, it says, you're not allowed to be here. Oh, we can comment that out. It says, well, you're not allowed to be here, you're too young. Okay, that works fine. Now, what if you want to say, okay, well, you can't be older than 50. So now we have to use if statements. So that means we have if, and we have otherwise if, and then you have something called else. That means, except all these, do this. So I can show you. So if you do elif, that means otherwise, if age is bigger than 50, then print, you're not allowed to be here. You're not allowed to be here. Sorry, too old. Sorry, you're too old. So now if we run the code again, we can say, okay, well, my name is Philip, and I'm 19, then the code works fine. And then if I put, okay, well, my name is Philip, and I am 67, not allowed to be there. Or if I run the code again and say my name is Philip, that's nice, and I'm 10 years old, then I'm not allowed to be here. So now we've created if and else statements. Now we're gonna go into a really interesting concept now. So now let's say, okay, well, here in Club Penguin, we want to ask about what the gender is. But we want to have an equal amount of girls and boys in this club, because that's how Club Penguin works. So let's say we add numbers of males. So number of males. Right now we have 0 person in the club, we don't have anyone. And number of females. Number of females. And we want to make sure that if there's 7, let's say there's 7 males, then we can't have another male. We have to add females then. So we want to make sure that those two are always equal. Okay, so first we have their age. And now we're going to ask, within the if statement, we're going to put an else statement. So we're going to say, if they're older than 18 but less than 50, then we're gonna run this part of the code. So this means else. This means otherwise. Do this. So otherwise, we're gonna ask them for their gender. So gender equals string input. What is your gender? Here. Alright, we can put in, to make it more simple, we put in are you male or female? And I want to put an if statement inside an if statement. So we say, if the gender is equal, so that puts equal. Now we put a string, so you put the quotation marks, is equal to male. And here comes the interesting part. You can put an and statement. And if number of males, so the number of males is less than or equal to number of females, then print welcome to the club. So now we're saying that if the amount of males, if there's more females than males, then you're allowed to join. But if there's more males than females, then you can't join. So now this is what we put here. And then we can say, okay, well, elif gender is equal to female, and number of females is bigger than or equal to number of males. It's less than or equal to number of males. Then print welcome to the club. And now we can use 2 if statements, but here we're just going to use an else statement. Print you are not welcome. Sorry. Okay, perfect. So now if we run the code, we can see, okay, well, we put in my name. My name is Philip, and I am 21. Then it's going to ask me, so now I run through the code, and it said, okay, well, I'm bigger than 18, and I'm less than 50, so we're going to run the else statement. Okay, what is my gender? Let's say my gender is male. It says, welcome to the club. because in the beginning here we see there's only one male and one female. Now let's say we change that. Let's say we have 4 males and 0 females. So now let's say I'm a male and I come into the club and I say, well, I'm old enough and I'm a male. It's gonna tell me that I'm not welcome because there's more males than females. But if we have the same arrangement and we tell me that I am a female, let's say it's the same name, Philip, I am 24 and I'm a female, then it's gonna tell me you are welcome to the club. Now one thing I want to make sure that you understand here is the different ways you can respond to the question here, because it's just how Python works. So you put what is your name, that doesn't really matter. Here you just put random, and what is your age here. But here for are you male or female, we're asking in the if statement for a simple statement. Are you male or are you female? And look how they're both lowercase. Because what if I decide to write, well, I'm male, then it doesn't work because it's capitalized. So one thing you would have to do when using these string statements was that if you go to gender, you can put gender.lower. This means that every response they give is always given in lowercase. So even if they decided to go, well, my name is Philip and I'm 24 and I'm male, that's also work because it's in lowercase. I'm not sure if I put that I'm female, because in these configurations that would never work. 25 and I'm a female. You see how that would work? And that's exactly the whole point, because then the code interprets that as lowercase and then that matches the thing you've been in here. So that's just one thing to be careful about when doing if statements. This concludes part 1 of my Club Penguin mini-series. In part 2, we'll be looking into how to use functions, for loops, and Boolean variables. So stay tuned for the next video. See ya!